welcome back. We're Those History Twins. I'm McCarty.
My name's Kelly.
And today, we're going to talk about the Dyatlov Pass. Now, it's Russian, so it might be pronounced differently. I don't know Russian, so, wish you did. That'd be cool. Where's Katya when you need her?
I know, right?
Just kidding. She would never know us.
Also, look at this. Anyone seen Schitt's Creek?
Oh, also, I'm wearing pants with chickens on.
Chicken pants.
Chicken pants. Alrighty. You should scoot that way a little bit because I feel like I'm getting cut off. There we go. Now I'm not centered. Oh well. Anyway. Okay.
Oh, yeah. We're definitely not centered. There we go.
That's better. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Dyatlov Pass Incident. This is something that happened in the Soviet Russia. It's mostly basically a tragic accident that a bunch of people died. A bunch, like 9.
Love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of a bunch of people dying, recently I've been watching documentaries about terrible disasters. I watched one about an earthquake that devastated Mount Everest and the Langtang community. That's probably wrong. That was crazy. And then I watched one about a volcano that erupted in New Zealand and 22 people died. It was crazy. And then I watched one about 13 kids that got trapped in a cave in Thailand, but those ones all survived. So that was good.
Alright, I am going to look at the notes that I have printed here. Just because all of the names are Russian, the dates,
the dates are also Russian.
Yes, and it's a lot of things that I normally do this without notes. And that's fine. I just like having the general gist of what's in my head, but this I'm going to need specifics.
I don't know how she does it without notes. And also, we plan these topics, we did the research for these topics a month ago.
Probably longer.
And we're just getting now ready to film it because of our hiatus. You can watch our previous video where we describe why we've been gone. But yeah, we're calling this season 2.
Yeah. Okay, so Dyatlov Pass Incident. Basically, this is Soviet Russia. You have this group of people who were students at the, what is it called? The Ural Polytech Institute. And they're all very experienced skiers. And
are they skiers or climbers?
Hikers. But they're using skis to
They have snowshoes on?
But they're skis.
Are snowshoes not skis?
No. They're shoes. They are. Okay, so anyway, you have these, it initially started out where 10 people were going on this trip. And like I said, it's grade 2 in Russia. There are only 3 grades. So
of hiking difficulty?
Yeah. Difficulty hiking. This one, after they finished this, they would all be certified as grade 3, which was the highest you could get. So, they're all very experienced. Nobody's newbie. Dennis!
Denny, you're ruining everything. Our setup is so crooked.
Oh, God, she's the worst.
It's fine.
Anyway.
Okay, I have questions.
Yes.
Already. So, these are students, and they're learning how to hike?
No, they're experienced hikers. They just happen to all be from that area.
That university?
Institute. Yeah, that is.
So they're doing this hike so they're extra qualified.
Well, it's you have to go a certain number of dives before you can be...
an expert diver.
Yeah, you have to be certified in certain depths.
But it's not a class or anything. They're just all on the same...
No, they're all on the same expedition. I think some of it
Exhibition?
Exhibition? Yeah. What did I say?
You kind of said exhibition, but you also said excavation.
Okay.
You said
expedition.
Expedition, yeah. You said a mix of a few things.
Okay. Basically, they're just people that are going to go, they all just are from Russia, from the Institute. They're all going to go, I think there could have been a little bit of research, or they were making out the trail. It doesn't really say.
It's a hiking trip.
Yeah, it's a hiking, they're going to go trail it. They're getting into somewhere in the Ural Mountains. Does it say where they're going?
I'll see if I can put up a map.
No. Anyway, they're just going to the things. So, there's 10 of them to start. And I'll just say a list of the people that were there. Igor Dyatlov, he's the one that did... He was kind of the...
Is it named after him?
Yeah. He was the, leader of the expedition.
So, it's called the Dyatlov Pass.
It was named after the incident.
The pass was named after the incident?
Yeah. Prior to that, the pass was...
And he was the leader, and that's why it's named after him?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Should I bleach my bangs this weekend? Should I do that tonight?
I was also thinking maybe I should bleach these pots that were shaved and color it. Anyway, I don't know what it used to be called, but it's called the Dyatlov Pass now.
Okay.
Because of this. So that was the first one. Then we have Yuri Dorno. Okay, so there are 9 men, 2 girls. No, there's not. There's 7 men, 2 women, and one that doesn't
Have a gender.
die. Yeah. And then you got Yuri.
So 10 total.
10 total.
What is the
Only
person?
9 died.
Well, who's the person that didn't die?
I will tell you. I'm just kidding. Kelly's gonna list these off in.
I'll just put
She'll just put a list and a picture as they pop up. There's so many of them. Okay, so this group, 10 people, they had planned to arrive at a train they arrived by train in Ivdel, a town in the northern province of, somewhere in, insert Russian name.
I'll put a map.
Yeah, so,
Or you'll put a map, depending on who edits this.
They arrived there early January 25th of 1959. So, then they take a truck to another village called Vizhai. This is basically like the last inhabited settlement to the north. So this is like the end of where people live. And I say where people live, this is the end of where Soviet people live. Because there are a couple of like tribes.
Like native tribes.
Yes. On the 27th, they start their trek toward Gora Otorin. That's like their next stop. So they have planned out stops where they're going to get camp, where they're going to maybe get resources. I'm not really sure. I think it could have been where they had people dropped off and like putting food caches.
So normally what hikes, like if you're doing a long hike like that, you hike so many days or like so many miles in a day, and then you have a camp and you like get to that camp area.
Yeah.
Usually.
I think it's kind of like that.
Good
Myrtle!
grief.
That is where Denny's toes are. And now they're going to be all over in that box.
They're not in a container.
They're in a jar that doesn't have a lid. in a jar that also has a bunch of skeleton or like fossils.
Okay. Okay, let's move past that.
Anyway, so they're getting there. On January 28th, one of the members, Yuri...
When did they start? January
25th.
25th. Why would you do this in the winter?
Because it's always winter in Russia. And also,
Is
I
that
think...
true?
No. I think also because it was I think the whole point was supposed to be like an Arctic. But they weren't in the Arctic, obviously, but I think that's kind of the whole point. So that they can use the skis.
Okay.
So, one member, Yuri Yudin, he has several health conditions, one of them being like rheumatism, which is joint pain, and arthritis, and then like a congenital heart defect. So he gets, what is this, 9 days?
But it's not like
3 days?
It's not just arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is a
autoimmune
disease. I've been doing a lot of autoimmune disorder research because of my medical things that are happening.
Yeah. So he decides that he's having a lot of back pain, a lot of knee pain and joint pain, and it made him unable to continue. He thought that he was just going to slow everyone down, and he was in so much pain that he decided, I'm going to turn around. Which, good on you, Yuri.
He's the only one?
He's the only one that survived. Nice. So, the remaining 9, they hike back. Sorry, I already had that page. I don't know why. Don't you mock me.
Obviously it will.
Okay, so the hike that they were planning to make was 300 kilometers or 190 miles. So that's the length of which they were going to travel from point A to point wherever the pass was.
And it's pretty mountainous? It's not flat?
It's in the Ural Mountains.
In the mountains.
So it's mountainous. They have like, it's the same as like hiking Everest. No matter when you go in the year, it's going to be cold. No matter when you do whatever, there's going to be snow. So it has very similar to that, except for they're not going like straight up mountain. They're kind of going through this thing.
We aren't what you would call hikers.
Outdoorsy.
So I don't really know about hiking. I don't believe in being outside.
Okay, so they're trying to reach, again, I'm not going to say it. That was the approved route for the Committee of Physical Culture and Sport. Again, it's going to be a Category 3. They're all going to get their certificates after this.
So this is a planned course, right?
This is a planned course.
This is a hike that people go on.
Yes, they have. Well, no, people haven't gone on it yet. I think this is the first time.
They're trying to get this to be a course that people go on.
Yes, I think so. And it has.
I'll put a picture.
But it has different stopping points that they were going to make, and then it also has, like, they're like, this will probably take. I think, what did they say? Like, roughly 18 days is what they were planning. Because of like how far they were going, the speed at which, but they had planned a little bit of like leeway, for, you know, any kind of weather or anything that slowed them down. So basically what happens is they don't get to where they're supposed to be. Somebody tries to find them. They realize on the February 20th, I believe it was, that nobody's, like, they're not.
So almost a month
later.
They have not returned.
It had been, what, a 3-week trip almost? So they gave them some leeway, but like, okay, well, maybe they had to stay a little bit longer because of weather or, all, you know, there's a lot of leeway and kind of.
So basically, a person, they are not where they're supposed to be.
They never made it back to where they were supposed to be. They start search party.
They're like, this is suspicious. No one's come back yet.
Yes, they also have. The trip up until they die is very well documented because they have got cameras. They're photographers.
We should have buried the lead. Now they know that everyone's gonna die.
Oh,
we knew that in the beginning. Sorry.
Well, everyone who knows this.
Sorry to ruin the surprise.
What would the point of the? Why would it be called an incident if nobody died?
Right.
There's a storm at some point, and this is in their diaries and things like that. There was a storm. They ended up going in the wrong direction, the wrong spot. So then they were like, okay, well, we don't want to go down the mountain. We want to keep the altitude that we're at. So we're going to set up camp here. Mm-hmm. Started on the 25th of January. They were supposed to be back by February 12th.
Can you remember what year this is?
1959, I believe.
50s? I was thinking like the 1800s.
Oh, no, Soviet Union.
Well, now after I said that, I understand. But at first, I was like, oh, this must be the 1800s. But I know about the Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah.
I've heard tales of it, so I should have known that it was in the 50s.
Again, they were supposed to be back by the 12th of February. They're not back. Again, there's some delay in when they're going to find, or when they start the search. A bunch of volunteers from the Institute and other people who were,
so by the 20th, they're like, they were supposed to be here
8 days ago.
8 days ago.
Yeah.
A week ago.
Yeah.
We've given them plenty of time.
Yes, exactly. So they start going out and looking for it. And eventually, they have volunteers. And then eventually it's like, okay, well, now we got to bring the army in. And, like, police force. We got helicopters. They're throwing resources at the guy. On the 26th. Okay, sorry, I'm all over the place.
So by the 26th, they still haven't found them?
That's when they start to find them. So again, they had stopped all of the.
They were not where they were supposed to be.
Diaries and things. They were not where they were supposed to be because they had got kind of shifted. What was it, like 0.93 miles?
I'll put a map of where they were and where they were supposed to be.
Yeah, basically they decided they were going to stay there because they lost their direction because it was a snowstorm, so visibility was bad, it was cold, all of those things. They set up camp, and they were not towards the top, deviated west towards the top of Kolot, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter what the names are. They're not where they're supposed to be. People are going to look them. On the 26th, they find the groups. They find that tent badly destroyed and abandoned. And they're like, what the hell? It's just, they're nowhere to be found. Why would they just abandon all of their stuff? And then one of the students, Mikhail Sharabin, the one who found the tent, was like, it's empty. all of the belongings are in there, and it looks like it's been cut from the inside. So somebody on the inside of the tent cut it with a knife. They were making a hasty escape.
Interesting.
Another thing that they find is that there are 9 sets of footprints leading out of the tent, which is everyone. Although the weird thing is some of these footprints are barefoot. Some of them are just in socks. There's one of them that only has 1 boot on. So they've clearly...
They're in a disarray. They're leaving in
disarray.
a hurry.
They're leaving in a hurry. We don't know what that hurry is, but they're rushing out, not putting on protective clothing, none of this. So for some reason, they are escaping the tent very hastily and not preparing for leaving. Okay, leaving out. And they're also in single file. So which is odd, because despite them leaving in such a hurry and a disarray, like whatever, they're still walking single file, which doesn't seem logical, because if you're trying to get away, you're just going to start running. So that's one of the things that causes a little bit of kind of apprehension, yes. And they're all leading down the opposite side of the pass. About whatever, basically some of them are covered with snow. They get to the edge of a wood, a Serbian forest, and they find the remains of a fire, and they find along the trees, it looks like somebody had made all of the trees on the lower, or the branches on the lower parts of the trees are all broken off. So it's somebody who was there. They have a campfire. Maybe somebody tried to climb the tree to see what they're doing. They're not really sure. It's just kind of speculation, obviously.
But something
happened where all of those were broken, and that's when they find the first 2 bodies.
Higgins, that seems like a bad idea.
They are shoeless. One of them's in their underwear. They are not prepared for the
weather conditions.
Branches have been broken. They start searching between the camps, between like that edge of the forest and where the camp was. They find 3 more bodies. Their poses suggest they were trying to return back to the tent. That's kind of like how they were positioned and like the direction they were headed from. They were found at a little bit distances from the tree. So like one of them was found 300 meters, one 400 meters, one 600 meters or whatever. So they're kind of all
spaced out.
Yeah. So you have the 2 that are down on the ground by the forest next to the campfire. Then you have 3 more who are making their way back to the tent.
Where is the tent?
The tent was, I don't know exactly how far the tent was from the...
But it was some distance?
Some distance from, because they had been running. Well, they had been walking in single file.
So they deserted the tent.
Yeah.
Made it a distance away and decided to build a fire. So it must have been like a mile?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Then they're still looking for... They have 4 more that they can't find. They can't find them. They find them. It takes 2 more months.
2 more months to find the other 4?
And then they find the other 4 on May 4th under 4 feet of snow in the ravine. 246 feet, 75 meters further into the woods from that pine tree where the other 2 were. So they had made it further. Now, here's the thing. 3 of those 4 were dressed better than the others. And it looks like there's evidence to suggest that some of the clothes that were on these 4 had been clothes that had previously been on the other bodies. I also saw something that said the other bodies were they had evidence that they had been manipulated in some way. That is a liar. Please not play with them. That the bodies had been manipulated in some way. So, taking off coats and clothes for, like, potentially the one that was in his underwear. It could be that they took his coat for warmth for another one. They also, some of them, it kind of looked like maybe they had been positioned in that way. And one of the theories is, like, maybe they were trying to move the body in a respectful way, as you would for, like, a burial, but obviously they're in the mountains, they're not going to bury them, so they're kind of laying them to rest in a way. It is odd that they didn't take all of the clothes. I mean, obviously, what are you going to do with a sock and underwear, but yeah, they didn't. But they found one of the girls was wearing one of the man's coat and his shoes. And then her foot and leg was wrapped in a jacket. So at some point she had been injured. Also, I was trying to save this kind of for later to talk about what essentially all of the bodies they found had damage to their faces, I'm not going to go into detail on like which body had which, like what damage, because that would take forever and it's not really important. So essentially all of them had soft tissue damage to their faces. One had he had some kind of wound to his head that was probably fatal.
Like blunt force, or was it sharp force?
I don't really remember. It just says it had major damage. Another one of them had a small crack in the skull. Oh, it's thought to not be fatal. One of them had a bunch of, these are the ones that found in May. So the first 2 and the 4 the first 5, they mostly just have like burn marks on their bodies and their
Like
lips
frostbite.
and eyes. Frostbite. And like actual burns. Like, I don't know if they got too close to the fire, whatever, they have burns. Facial tissue is missing. That's pretty much all of them. A small crack. They look like they have medical examinations. Found no like lethal injuries.
It was most likely the elements.
Yeah, the elements. Hypothermia. That's the
Probable cause of death.
Yeah. So again, the facial feature or the facial soft tissue could be, I don't know how many like critters or whatever would be out there, but it could be something like that. There's another theory about that, which I'll get to later. The other 4 bodies that were found in May in that ravine, kind of by the water.
I didn't know they were by the water.
Well, that's what a ravine is.
A ravine has water in it?
I mean, yeah, I think so. It's kind of like a...
I thought a ravine was just like a crevasse.
Maybe.
I don't know the difference.
I'm not a scientist. So 3 of them had life-threatening fatal injuries. One of them had skull damage, major skull damage, and the other 2 had major chest fractures. I also heard that one of them had like a flail chest. It also, notably, the force of which these injuries would have been sustained is the force of a car accident. So they're not kinds of injuries that a human could make on another person.
What if they fell from a tree?
That's one of the theories about how some of these got them. There's no notable external wounds, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. There's no examples of that. The ones I'm sorry, I made a mistake. The first 5 bodies don't have any signs of damage. Aside
No
from, like,
burns.
your normal, the burn, I meant, like, facial soft tissue. I'm, like, the burns they still have, they have all of the symptoms of hypothermia, the freezing, whatever. Probably frostbite. They could have lost little pieces. In the ravine, there's, like, some running water. And they say that's what the soft tissue was from, the missing soft tissue. One of the girls was missing her tongue, eyes, a bunch of facial tissue.
Like the water eroded it away?
That's one of the thoughts, because they were found in that thing. Postmortem explanation just judges these as normal postmortem injuries. The other thing is these would not be decomposing because it's so cold there. So these are all bodies that are fully intact, aside from the small soft tissue that would be go. So, only had a shoe, 6 member. It says 6 group members had died. These are the journalist reports from the time. 6 members died of hypothermia and 3 of fatal injuries. That was the other ones. So, here are the explanations that they have. Okay, what do we know so far? 10 Russians go, 9 don't come back. They die, 4 of them are found, or 2 of them are found by the trees, where they probably tried to get up, whatever. 3 are found there, and 4 of them have fatal injuries.
And it looks like they
Rushed
escaped
out.
the tent in a rush. They weren't able to put their clothes on correctly, and the survivors
Seem to have taken.
took clothes from the already deceased.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be hard to know who died first, because there's no, like, time of death or whatever. Also, this is Soviet Russia, so the autopsies and science forensics has not really been that good. So people suspect that maybe, like, the first 2 died first.
The ones by the fire.
The ones by the like the little fire and the trees died first. They took their clothes, put them in like a more peaceful thing. The ones in the forest further had made it a little bit farther, trying to find the next camp or whatever. They're going back to the camp, sorry.
And then the ones in the ravine probably died last.
Probably died last. Are also, like, taken things that they could use. The other ones are dying from hypothermia. So, what made them run out of that camp? One of them is, okay, so there's all kinds of them.
All kinds of theories.
All kinds of theories. Some of them are stupid. Some of them are, could be
Credible.
interesting. Some of them are credible, yeah. So, one of the things that they have that could be, there's a phenomenon called paradoxical undressing, where when you start getting hypothermia, your body
Tells you
that you're on fire and that you're hot. So you start undressing because you're so, you feel so hot. So it could be why some of them had taken off more clothing. It couldn't be that maybe it wasn't the people stealing their clothes. It could be
that they were
just that they were doing it on their own. So one of the at the time, they didn't really have an explanation that was like really I don't know. It was just kind of like, this is kind of what happened. Also, this is again Soviet Russia. They didn't have a probable thing. The Russians, if anyone's gonna hide something, it's gonna be Soviet Union. So one of the theories is that Soviet Union had done something to them.
Like it was some kind of experiment.
Yeah. Oh, another thing is there was radiation on all of the bodies.
I was going to ask when you were going to mention that.
Yeah, there was radiation on all of the bodies, so that's led some people to believe that there were maybe experiments in the area, and maybe because they were trying like bombs and everything. So maybe Soviet Union didn't, like the Soviets weren't specifically attacking this group, but it could be, there's one theory that maybe they were like testing something and it spooked them to get out of the tent, and then they kind of got lost in all of the things. Another one, this one in 2020 announced Audrey,
that Mike's gonna die, so
someone at the Ural Federal District said the official cause of death was avalanche. So they're thinking that an avalanche, like even, what was it called? A standing avalanche? Or a slab avalanche, where the whole mountain doesn't fall down, it's just a little bit. They think that could be that they heard the avalanche coming, so they just started running out. Another one is Yeti, obviously. Obviously, a Yeti took them and killed them. And there is a photo from there that's been proven to be, forensically proven to be a real picture. No, that it's a real picture, not doctored, of what looks kind of like a man. It kind of looks like a Yeti, but then there's also tribes up here, and it kind of also maybe looks like somebody in a snowsuit. And that wouldn't even need to be one of the tribes. That could also just be
a person in a snowsuit.
A person in a snowsuit, Soviet Russia. It could just be someone from the military, like, out there vibing. One of the other theories is that the Manzi, local tribesmen, they think they were attacked by them. The evidence that he used to support this is that they're all walking in single file. That's kind of odd.
They think they were captive.
That they were captive, and the also the mountain near where they were, the Manzi people called it Death Mountain. Now, did they call it Death Mountain because if you climb up it, you're gonna die? Maybe. Probably. Or did they call it Death Mountain because they were sacrificing humans?
Right.
And that they took these white men, sacrificed them. That's one of the theories. We'll never know if that's true. They also, one of them is that they were maybe attacked by wildlife. There's bears. I don't know about that. In my head, that doesn't really make sense. There's
because
also
they didn't eat them.
Yeah.
And most of the time when animals attack,
it's because they're gonna
eat you.
Eat you, yeah. Another one is aliens.
Nice.
Obviously. There's some photographic evidence that potentially there were some lights that they had seen, because there's a picture that kind of looks like they're taking a picture of some bright lights in the sky. So people think that aliens killed them, and that people also think that's where the radiation came from for whatever like alien weapons they were using. And then there's another one. It's the same as an avalanche. It's just a specific type of avalanche. What is it called? Katabatic wind. In these cats, I tell ya. In 2019, they so part of it is people who doubt the
Is there a government official explanation of what happened?
Yeah, but it's Soviet Russia.
What is it? What's
Hypothermia.
hypothermia? Is
That's
it
their
official?
cause of death. That's the official cause of death.
Which honestly is probably
correct. In 2020, the newest evidence is avalanche was the cause of death. They looked and they're like, well, there's no evidence that an avalanche happened there. There would be evidence. There would be like snow slides. There would be evidence in the ground, whatever. They don't really have that. So one of the things is a katabatic wind, which is basically the winds. It's super rare, but super violent. They just kind of come and
stir shit around.
Action. It's like converges, and it's basically like you're probably gonna die, and they would rush out. Another one, obviously, is military testing. The Yetis. What's the other one? Aliens. It's really hard to know. There probably is some truth to hypothermia. I mean, if you're running through the Russian wilderness and you don't have any clothes on, you're gonna get hypothermia.
Did they say anything? Did they launch an investigation as to why they had radiation all over them?
They couldn't figure it out. They said they don't know why there's radiation all over them. Inconclusive. Soviet Russia, the radiation's got to be coming from the military. And like the state. And there's some in other places of the area. I don't know why they would be in such high concentrations on them. And I didn't really go into that, but there's not a ton around there, but like in the other areas. But yeah, I was on all of them. There's a book called The Price of State Secrets and Nine Lives, where this one kind of criticizes the investigation from the 1959 or from the 50s and 60s, probably 60s, because they feel like they didn't really go into detail or really investigate any other options besides hypothermia. They were kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna look at this body, and they're like, hypothermia. Why does he have chest wounds? We don't know. Probably hypothermia. But then they also said they're wounds the human couldn't make.
Right.
So my estimation, probably the avalanche or the winds kind of got them and they were crushed, or maybe they fell out of the tree.
I mean, they were found under 4 feet of snow.
Yeah. 4 meters of snow. 13 feet.
So maybe like that, could that have contributed to their injuries? If a bunch of snow, like, could that be proof of an avalanche that a bunch of snow fell at once?
I don't know, because it was all, 13 feet is a lot of snow to be natural in my head in just 2 months. Or wait, January, so basically February to May. What's that, 3 months, 4 months? Mm-hmm. It's not a lot of snow, but I don't know how much it snows in Russia. So, yeah. The most logic,
because maybe if 13 feet of snow fell on you, you would have a flayed chest.
Yeah, could be.
Could they tell if the wounds were post or postmortem?
They all said postmortem, but you can't really trust the autopsy report.
Sure.
It
might have been a cover up.
Yeah, if it was a cover up. Died because of compelling natural forces, is what it says at the time. Officially deceased May of, or they officially stopped looking. No guilty party. They have the private archives, and in 2019...
What happened to their journals?
They're all archived in Russia, because they found the tent, and it had everything in it. So, let's see. Explanations were being considered, avalanche in 2019, avalanche, slab avalanche, or a hurricane. Which I don't know about the hurricane, but, like...
I mean, isn't a hurricane just a blizzard? Like, a snow hurricane would be a blizzard?
Yeah. Like, yeah, isn't a hurricane just water blizzard? So maybe.
But, I mean, hurricane probably has a ton... I mean, it has a lot to do with the wind, too, not just the rain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, tornadoes could make that, like, could make those injuries. So maybe it was like a snow tornado.
Yeah.
Like hurricane force winds whipping snow and ice around could probably cause those injuries.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's gotta be, like... Okay, how much would I love it to be like a Yeti or aliens or something? I just think it's probably either a cover-up. That's what a lot of people think it is, just based on the fatal wounds of the others.
And the kind of shadiness
of the Soviet Union. No offense, Soviet Russia. Yeah, avalanche is the most likely option. Again, we'll never know. It was 80 years ago.
Sure.
So, 70 years ago, I don't know. Time is hard. But yeah, so that's the Dyatlov Pass. I'll make sure, I'll go through and get all the names and dates and places. so it's easier
I'll
to
put
find some
maps
other
up and
pictures.
all that fun stuff.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. There's all kinds of stuff on it. It's a
There's
very
documentaries and stuff about it too. You can find if you're interested in
in-
a more concise, less rambly telling.
I kind of like
Probably
rambling
less
ones.
interesting, but
You won't have our wonderful personalities. Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
that's all I have.
Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine too.
All right.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Have a good one.